Hello, everyone. It's Elizabeth here from Live Blood Online and Neogenesis Systems. As usual, we've received so many questions about the upcoming training course. So I've got Dr. Ocker with us now, and he's going to show us some of the common findings in live blood analysis that will be in the training course and how they relate to health issues. And he's also going to give us a brief tour of the online training site. So over to you, Dr. Ocker.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Elizabeth. So let's get started right away. We have a few examples here of the type of images that we see in live and dry blood samples. We'll see that there are two images there against a dark background. So those are examples of live blood viewed in dark field. The image on the top left-hand side there is an image of live blood viewed in bright field. And it is important for us to actually view samples in bright field and dark field because there's a variety of anomalies that really only show up clearly in dark field. In dark field, we're able to see fine small structures between the cells and inside of the cells that are completely invisible in bright field. So really, really important to have access to dark field when viewing live blood samples. And then the image in the top, in the bottom right-hand corner there is an example of a dry blood sample, which we also view with bright field with our microscopes. That's a different sample. We get a different set of images or anomalies from there. So very important to look at the dry blood sample as well, as it complements what we do with bright field and dark field live blood microscopy very, very well. So we can go on to the next slide, and we actually have some examples of what normal blood should look like as well, because none of these images really are examples of normal blood. These are all anomalies or imbalances that we can see in blood samples. Now, the reason why we actually use live and dry blood analysis is because of the wide range of benefits to both the practitioner using the technique as well as the client coming in for the consultation. So we have a long list there that outlines the most important benefits, and it really is all about making things visible to clients. Seeing their actual blood on the screen uh, really helps to motivate them to actually make changes in their diet and lifestyle. But also for the practitioner, we're often able to see things that would not have been detectable through any type of other investigation. We have a very high level of sensitivity with live blood analysis where we can pick up imbalances and health challenges at a very, very early stage, where it's still possible to actually address them and correct them through simple nutritional interventions. Also, because the changes taking place in the blood take place in real time, it also enables us to actually track and monitor the effect of treatment so we can implement specific strategies and protocols and then see how those actually change at the cellular level when looking at the client's blood samples. So images here, the one on the left is an example of what normal blood should look like in a live blood sample. And on the right-hand side is an example of normal blood in dry blood. So these we have available on our wall charts, as you can see in the picture behind me. Very useful to have on there because clients having the test done can actually see for themselves examples of what some of the anomalies look like, and they can see what a normal sample should look like. So that is part of the interaction during the analysis where we actually explain things to clients and help to connect the dots, between how they're feeling, their symptoms, and what we're actually seeing in the blood. So we actually have an example here of a live and dry blood sample from an actual client, and we can go through the anomalies here and the findings, and you can actually see the type of patterns that we look for in a live and dry blood sample. So we'll start off with this. As we can see on the screen there, we're actually looking at the blood cells here at a very low level of magnification, just to give an idea of what the sample looks like when it's kind of zoomed out, and then we'll go into higher magnification right away. So this is done in bright field initially when we start looking at the sample, and we're looking at the actual red blood cells there. The structure at the bottom of the screen here is a group of thrombocytes. So that's thrombocyte aggregation, platelets sticking together. You can also see the arrangement of the blood cells here. They're overlapping. They're not really lying next to each other on a single plane. They're rather sticky and kind of sticking together. And that in itself is an indication there are a few things related to that. These teardrop shaped cells also quite noticeable in this sample. We're seeing quite a lot of those as well. That relates to poor protein digestion. So we're seeing some digestive challenges here. Also still some thrombocytes sticking together, and then quite a few areas showing these white spots. So we can see a white spot toward the right-hand side of the screen there, and that's quite a significant finding in this sample. We'll see quite a few of those showing up as we go through the sample. The white spots forming in the plasma. There's also one on top of the red blood cell there. Those white spots all relate to fermentation, indicating a bit of candida. So overgrowth of candida in the gut would increase fermentation in the system, and this then leads to candida overgrowth and various challenges. And with candida, it often is very difficult to track during treatment. With live blood analysis, we can very, very clearly see what's going on in terms of fermentation and candida, and then with treatment can track the improvement and actually see whether things are really improving. The large structure in the middle of the screen there is actually a cholesterol crystal. So we're also able to see various crystals in a live blood sample, and these all relate to other challenges as well. Let's just go back to where we were in the video. All right. Some more teardrop shapes there. And then this is what it looks like then in dark field. So we can see a very big difference in what we're able to see then when switching over to dark field. In bright field, these little dots between the cells were completely invisible. We didn't really see those at all. And as soon as we switch to dark field, those all become visible. We can see these target cells as well in these red blood cells. And also the white blood cells become a lot more visible in dark field as well. We can actually see the lobes of the nucleus and the movement of the granules within the white blood cell cytoplasm. So also very interesting finding there in the center of the screen. We're seeing all these white lines. That's fibrin. It's an indication of liver stress. And we tend to see this quite early, before there's actual damage to the liver cells. We see stress affecting the liver, and usually that can be easily then addressed with the correct nutritional supplementations and dietary changes. All right, so the bright structure on the left-hand side is actually a white blood cell. And with live blood analysis, we're very fortunate because the sample is alive, the cells are still alive. We can actually see whether the white blood cells are healthy as well. White blood cells often would have the correct indices, so the levels would be normal. But when you look at the live sample, we can actually see that the movement is not what it should be. So all those bright structures in the screen are all white blood cells that relate specifically to immune function. We can see these white blood cells there as well. All these abnormal shapes towards the left here are cloud patterns indicative of inflammation. Again, a very sensitive indicator. We can pick this up with a baseline sort of low level of inflammation in the system, and that's been connected to the development of various chronic diseases. Research in functional medicine has actually shown that inflammation is one of the foundational issues with the development of chronic diseases. Now, with our microscopes, we're able to achieve a very high level of magnification. We've switched over here to the 100 times objective, which gives us a magnification of about a 4,000 times on the screen. So really at the limit of what we're able to achieve with optical microscopy, and we're able to really get up close to the white blood cells and the other cells in the sample. If we're seeing microbes, for example, we go up to this level of magnification to look at the actual morphology of these cells. And we can see the movement within the white blood cell there very clearly, indicating that it is a healthy white blood cell. Another white blood cell here, we can see those granules in the cytoplasm moving around. That movement tells us that the immune system is generally healthy and that the white blood cells are generally performing their function. All right, so if I could just pause the video there. Just find where we were. Yeah, so this is where we were earlier on with the 100 times objective, and we can see these bubbles in the cytoplasm or in the plasma here. These are all related to fermentation. So we're seeing quite a lot of candida indicators here in this particular case.
Of course, everyone's going to want to know what the little white dots are.
Yes, absolutely. That's a question that comes up all the time, and clients also always want to know what are those white dots moving around in their blood. So those are chylomicrons. They're fat particles of dietary origin. So, if someone's eaten in the last 3 or 4 hours before the test, then we expect to see those. But in a fasting state, we usually don't have many of them. Now, there were quite a high number in this particular case as well. So that's usually a specific anomaly called delayed clearance of chylomicrons, and that is also related to fat metabolism, often connected to things like metabolic syndrome and issues with fat metabolism by the liver. All right, another nice white blood cell here. This is a close-up of a basophil, and we can see the granules within the cytoplasm moving around. Now we've switched to the dry blood sample here. The dry blood sample, we have 8 individual spots that we look at. Those all are allowed to dry on the slide, and we then look at the pattern or the patterns that emerge after the blood has dried on the slide. And there's various things that you can see here. All those white dots towards the center of the sample here are related to intestinal irritation. So we're seeing a lot of gut-related challenges here, and very useful, to look at the dry blood sample because it often explains and complements what we've seen in the live blood sample. So in cases where we're seeing lots of fermentation signs, candida indicators, we often find signs of intestinal irritation there as well. Often we see signs of bowel toxicity. In this case, we do have a bit of a dark center there, and also some darker waves towards the outer edges. The darker waves on the outer edges are metal toxicity patterns as well. So the dry blood also provides us information about possible degenerative patterns. So we're very easily able to work out whether a client is likely to have some underlying degenerative condition. And in those cases, we expect things to take a lot longer to shift. And those cases are monitored a lot more closely to ensure that, degeneration doesn't set in, and, we're able to reverse those patterns. Right, let's skip ahead a little bit here just so we can see these larger patterns. So in this view, we've increased the magnification. We'll see us going to a higher setting here, and we just zoomed into a particular portion of the dry blood sample, and we're seeing these areas of broken fibrin. These also indicate challenges with the blood sugar level. So, when there's an issue with candida, often we find that blood sugar also tends to become problematic in these cases. Again, a very sensitive indicator. So we see these patterns emerge long before conventional tests would show a raised blood sugar level, for instance. So also, again, here, when we see this, we take it quite seriously, and we start working with correcting blood sugar and, managing blood sugar and insulin in these cases to prevent, challenges with the blood sugar developing in the long term. The pattern on the screen there just relates to possible degenerative challenges. If we see lots of these dots within these white areas in the dry blood sample, the more we see, the more it is connected to the risk of degenerative diseases, potentially serious conditions as well. So this is a very useful way to actually track in cases, what we need to focus on and what potential challenges might be lurking in the background as well. All right, so we've just done a summary here of the findings, and we didn't cover everything that was actually seen in the sample, but I mentioned the most important ones, and those are graded on the right-hand side there. The numbers there relate to the grading. The more prevalent a specific finding is, the higher the grade that we assign to the finding, and that helps us to kind of guide us in terms of what needs to be focused on in terms of treatment. We can see on the right-hand side here that fermentation really is a major finding here, very, very important. Also, the intestinal irritation, dark center, they're all related to the Candida issue. So we can easily work out what the main issues are. And this is sort of based on those anomalies. We can see these health challenges, focal areas really that have been identified. And this is when we look for the common indicators between the specific anomalies. So if you see more than one specific anomaly associated with Candida, for example, then that would be listed as a very important finding. So we can see there leaky gut syndrome pointed out here, Candida as well, dysbiosis. So we can really see that the digestive system and the gut featured very, very strongly in this case. And that is really where the basis is. This is the sort of underlying issue in the case. And whatever symptoms and challenges the client has presented with, if we work on the gut, we would find long-term and impressive results then as a result of our treatment. Right, and then we have a short tour of the online training site, just to give people a view of what the online training site looks like and how we usually access the training materials on the online training site. So this is just an example of what it looks like. So once you log in with your username and password, initially on the first login, you just have to agree to the terms and conditions. These are sort of standard e-learning terms and conditions, and there's no additional charges due to the attendees. Everything here is billed to our account, and you would basically see your courses. There's a current and completed tab there. So if you've just joined the training course, you'd access the course materials from there. And it's very simple to use. Basically, click on any of those elements to access them and to open them. And you can see quite a long list of course materials there. These are arranged according to the schedule of the 12-week training course. So each week has specific course materials along with the actual lessons. Now, this is from one of our earlier courses, the January course. So there's already a recording that's visible on here that we will look at as well. So this is the first starting point, just some basic information that attendees can go through on how to access the course and some of the other materials that are provided as part of the training course. And you can see once you've completed the specific element, it actually shows the progress there as well. So next we have an example of one of our recorded lessons. So after the live lesson, we usually have the recording of that lesson then available on the online training site. Very easy to access. Again, just click on the course element. It starts playing and you actually can skip ahead as well as we are demonstrating there. Now, there's no audio currently, but obviously in the actual recording, we have audio. So the same discussion that takes place during the actual course, during the live lesson, the recordings will be there. And then attendees are able to watch this as many times as needed. They can access these materials as many times as needed. Right, and this is the module of the training course that goes with the first week, and there's a module for each of the 12 weeks of the training course as well. Very simple to use as well. Basically just click to go through the pages, and very, very useful to access this because there's additional information available here over and above what's presented in the live lessons. So really to fill in all the blanks and to get as much information as possible. Again, there's quite a lot of information, so the way that the course has been structured over the 12-week period really is ideal because you can go through the information, go through it as many times as needed, sort of take time to digest and assimilate the information before moving on. Also, various other supportive materials there, videos that can be viewed, examples of live and dry blood anomalies as well, and various other resources that we have available during the course for attendees to download and then use. Right, and all the progress is tracked, so you can actually see which course elements have been completed. There's also a self-assessment type of test after each module for attendees to go through and test themselves to see how familiar they've become with the materials. And at the end of the course, there is also an assignment that needs to be completed, so a case study that attendees have to submit, which is the final requirement then for certification. Right, and the last bit of information here is just an example of what the microscope looks like. This really is one of the key parts of the course is having a good quality microscope that allows you to see everything that you should be able to see. Dark field is very, very specific. There are very specific set of requirements, and not all microscopes have them. We've actually had these microscopes manufactured for us according to our own specifications, because the usual specifications and features included even in dark field microscopes don't actually have all the necessary requirements. All right, so just an example of what the microscope looks like, and we will cover more detail in a later webinar on what to actually look for in a microscope and some examples of what we see when some of those features or specifications have not been met.
Very important, isn't it, to have the right microscope? We get so many students that make expensive mistakes.
Absolutely, it really is a common issue, and quite frequently we get emails from attendees who went ahead and purchased a dark field microscope believing that it would be suitable for live blood analysis. Often these are actually advertised as well as live blood analysis microscopes, but when you go through the specifications, they are really lacking in the necessary features, and it's immediately obvious when you actually look at a sample under that microscope. You really can't see what you should be able to see. The images are not close to what we actually have in the course materials, and unfortunately there is no way around it. Those microscopes have insufficient light source. There's not enough brightness in the light source in the microscope, and the optics are not suitable. The level of magnification on it is not suitable, so it really isn't possible to upgrade those microscopes. People usually then have to either sell those microscopes or just store them and then invest in a proper microscope to actually be able to see what they should be able to see in the blood.
Yeah, it's such a shame. I mean, it's not that the manufacturers are deliberately misleading. It's they actually don't know, do they? Because it's such a specialist field.
Absolutely, it really is very niche, and the manufacturers are not involved with live blood analysis in any way. So, they assume that whatever dark field system is available will be suitable, but it really isn't. And, we are involved with the training. I've been doing training in live and dry blood analysis for about 25 years now. And there are very, very specific requirements for live blood microscopy. Unfortunately, standard microscopes that are sold commercially just don't have the necessary features.
Marvelous. Well, thank you very much for that. And that was a great introduction to live blood analysis and also to the training course. So thank you all very much for joining us. If you do have any questions, then please click on the link below. And also you can email us at info@livebloodonline.com and also find a lot more information at the website www.livebloodonline.com. So we look forward to seeing you on a training course soon. Thank you very much, Dr. Ocker.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be sending you a recording of the video. Thank you again for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye bye.